Good evening and welcome to tonight's CCAC soccer matchup between University of St. Francis and Holy Cross College. From Joliet Memorial Stadium in Joliet, Illinois, this is Terry Bonadonna on the call as the Saints go for their second consecutive win in their home finale of 2017. The Saints are out on the field wearing white and they are underway with the first kick. St. Francis going from left to right on your screen. They're shooting into the south goal. Holy Cross, the Saints wearing black. They are going from right to left on your screen, and they're shooting into the north goal here in the first half. Quickly out of bounds for a Holy Cross throw-in. The Saints of Holy Cross come into today's game with a 5-7-2 record this year. However, they have struggled in conference play. One win in 8 conference games. They're 1-5-2. They get the first attack here as they drive the ball down into the corner. This is David Villegas. Passing it outside and knocked out of bounds by Nate Mendez for a goal kick. The Fighting Saints of St. Francis have a very impressive mark this season of 8-6-1, and they've been even better in conference play, 6-3 against CCAC foes. They went through a tough patch in early October in which they lost 3 of 4 games, following a 4-game winning streak, but got back on the winning track with a fairly dominant 4-1 victory over Robert Morris just this past weekend. And so today they'll try to make it 2 in a row as that ball is played back into the hands of the goalkeeper, Carlos Ferrer Cotto, the freshman from La Fresnada, Spain. Let me read off the rest of the starting lineup to you. We'll start actually with Holy Cross. They've got Aaron Bannister and Harry Francis along with Leon Gopal, Callum Beaver, David Villegas, Nate Mendez, Alex Yanez, Michael Lynch, Ilya Golubevs, and Casey Crowley. Their goalie today is Lewis Tomlinson. Tomlinson playing in his 11th game this season. Like the Saints, the Fighting Saints goalkeeper, he is a freshman from Europe. He's from Gainsborough, England. Tomlinson playing in the 11th out of 15 team games this year. He's made 25 saves, a very impressive 1.39 goals against average. Team's record in his games is 3-4-2, and he's got 2 shutouts. 42 minutes, 59 seconds remaining. We've played just about 2 minutes today, and a slight delay here as Jose Martinez tends to an untied shoelace. And we're back off and running with the Saints getting the free kick into Holy Cross territory and quickly cleared by the Holy Cross Saints. Back on the defensive end, that's Christian Batangelo kicking it away. Batangelo, one of 11 starters for the Fighting Saints. I'll read off those names to you here. Jose Martinez, who you just met, Mason Messina, Leon Leskowski, Kelvin Nlovu. Their leading goal scorer, Mohamed Rashid, has got 10 of them this year. Stephen Campbell, Joshua Yemen, who's second on the team with 7 goals scored. Raul Roman, Christian Batangelo, and Brian Castile. A couple of freshmen defenders round out the starting 10, with number 11 being goalkeeper Carlos Ferrer Cotto, who puts the ball down in front of him right now and begins to make a move in the other direction. Tapping it out about 10 yards beyond the goalkeeper's box, he gives it a big kick downfield, headed up into the air by Holy Cross, and the loose ball will lead to a foul called against the Fighting Saints. Cotto has been outstanding this year. He started 14 of the team's 15 games, and he's been playing every minute of late. Noah Jawdat, who was the starting goalkeeper last year, and Brian Vasquez, who started in goal a couple of years ago as a sophomore, have both seen a little bit of playing time this season, but it's been Carlos Ferrer Cotto for the most part, and he has been outstanding. 48 saves in his 14 games this year. He's allowed 0.88 goals per contest with a record of 7-6-1. Of his 14 games, 3 have been shutouts. Nearly came away with his 4th shutout of the year on Saturday against Robert Morris, but Eagles came away with a late goal to snap the shutout anyway, if not come back for the win. That ball rolls out of bounds. It'll be a Holy Cross throw-in. Clock ticking down to 41 minutes remaining in the first half. St. Francis enters play today 4th in the conference with 18 points, trailing only Cardinal Stritch, Roosevelt, and Olivet Nazarene. Holy Cross trying to make a move, rolling it down the middle of the field. Knocked away initially by Jose Martinez. Villegas sticks with it, trying to get it ahead to Mendez. But the pass deflected, and now it's loose for Mason Messina. Messina is bothered by Casey Crowley. Crowley can't control that ball, though, as the Saints kick it out of bounds. Throw in for Holy Cross. Holy Cross is the Saints. St. Francis, the Fighting Saints, will try to avoid mixing them up as much as possible. But for the most part, the Saints, referring to St. Francis tonight, headed towards the net, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto will let that ball go out of bounds along the side. I think that was Michael Lynch who got his head on that one. A couple of black shirts involved on the play, but it goes nowhere for Holy Cross. At midfield, this is Joshua Yemen, and before Yemen gets to that ball, whistle blown by the official to indicate Jose Martinez was fouled. Nick Rexebi, the official today, along with Ethan Bugey and Mike Montoni. On the right side, it's St. Francis knocking it out of bounds. It's Holy Cross who knocked it out of bounds. St. Francis on the attack here. Mason Messina rolls around Mendez and passes to the right side, and Stephen Campbell. Campbell along the sideline. Gets it off to Jose Martinez. Martinez ahead to Kelvin Nlovu. First touch for Nlovu today. Back to Messina. Mason Messina tried the quick one-tap pass to Mohamed Rashid. Didn't work out. Intercepted instead, and Holy Cross clears it for the moment. Mohamed Rashid back on the attack, looking to get that ball through to Raul Roman. Unsuccessfully, it's knocked away and out of bounds along the far sideline. St. Francis will throw it in again. Here's Rashid. Back to Leon Laskowski. Laskowski sends it into the box. Knocked up into the air, loose on the near sideline. Joshua Yemen will chase it down. Yemen immediately hassled by the defense and cleared. Nicely defended by Villegas. Throw in for the Fighting Saints. It's Stephen Campbell into Kelvin Nlovu. Messina weaves his way amidst a couple of defenders, and Mendez takes it away, tapping it back to Villegas. Jose Martinez steps in front of Villegas' dribblings and takes it away. Holy Cross gets it right back in the middle of the field, just shy of the midfield line. Down the way for Crowley, and poked away from Crowley by Christian Batangelo out of bounds. Holy Cross will get to re-enter the ball here. 38 minutes to play, first half, so we're 7 minutes into the action. And not much action so far if you're interested in offense. Golubev kicks it out towards Lynch as Holy Cross tries to get something towards the net right here. The Holy Cross Saints this season have scored 19 goals in 14 games. They've been outscored by only 6. Not a terrible number considering their 1-5-2 record in conference play this year. They have not been dreadfully outplayed. They've lost a lot of close ones. That ball lobbed in down the sideline and taken away by Holy Cross. It's Mendez. Mendez ahead for Crowley, and Crowley won't get there. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto will. Goalkeeper picks it up and allows his teammates to move downfield before giving this ball a punt. Rather than punting, it'll just drop it and kick it downfield that way. Rashid knocked away by Callum Beaver and out of bounds. Yemen to Raul Roman and pushed away by Holy Cross, trying to work their way down the sideline. Alex Yanez is pressured, and Yanez ends up losing that ball out of bounds. Well defended in the midfield by St. Francis, and now they try to make their move ahead offensively, and Leon Laskowski holds on to the possession. Nice work by him. Martinez out to Rashid. Mohamed Rashid, the leading point scorer, into the box, and fielded on one hop by Lewis Tomlinson. Raul Roman sent that one in, and no problem for Tomlinson to glove it on one bounce. And he'll get to take his time before moving downfield. Raul Roman took the shot there. He scored his first career collegiate goal on Saturday. Got the Saints on the board in what had been a good defensive struggle against Robert Morris. Put them up 1-0. Ultimately, they would add on 3 more times, but it was Roman's goal that turned out to be the biggest of the game because they were able to protect that lead the rest of the way. Took the 1-0 lead in the first half and never relinquished it, thanks to 3 big second-half goals. Long throw-in for Aaron Bannister into the box, headed up over the crossbar and out of bounds by Leon Gopal. Just missed on the goal. Nice work by Gopal to free himself up for that one. He had a good-looking header, a clean look at the net. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto let it go, though, wisely, as it popped just over the crossbar and out of bounds. So crisis averted by the Fighting Saints, and the goal kick sent away by Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Tapped out of bounds by Holy Cross, number 21, Michael Lynch. Here comes the throw-in for Holy Cross. Downfield, St. Francis gets into the box and knocked away. Bannister forces that ball out of bounds. Good run by Kelvin and Lovu. Bannister got there before he did, though. Gave it a good kick towards the sideline. Tossed into Raul Roman. He cannot retrieve it. It's Mendez forcing it away to the far sideline and out beyond that sideline for another St. Francis toss-in. Leskowski into Rashid. Mohamed Rashid, far and away the team's goal-scoring leader with 10 of them. He's tied for second on the team with 4 assists. Leon Leskowski leads the way with 5 of them. Lynch down across midfield. Stephen Campbell and Christian Batangelo back on that ball. Batangelo kicks it back beyond midfield and gets it returned immediately, but all the way down into the box. Moving a little bit too quickly for Crowley to track it down. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto has an easy scoop up. Final home game of the regular season for the Fighting Saints. It is senior night, and all of the seniors were honored on the field before the game. Quite a few of them. 10 seniors out here tonight, but ironically on senior night, down on ATI Field, the Fighting Saints have more than half their lineup made up of freshmen. 6 of the 11 starters are freshmen tonight. Kelvin and Lovu loses it to Mendez, and Lovu gets it back. Now whistle blows. Going the other way for Holy Cross. Ball is set up by Aaron Bannister. Leon Gopal will race downfield and leave Bannister to take the kick. Off the foot of Bannister. It skips on 2 hops off the hands of Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, but he reels it in before he can give up any rebounds. Nicely handled by the freshman goalkeeper, one of those 6 freshmen in the starting lineup tonight. Cotto will clear it to the other side of the field. Headed along the sideline. That ball did go just out of bounds before Yemen could keep it in. So Holy Cross throws it back into the defensive side. This is the last regular season home game for St. Francis. They're still hoping to host CCAC tournament game here, which they could do with wins today and Saturday against St. Ambrose. Long run for Kelvin and Lovu. Good ball to him, and Lovu one touch into the box, takes a shot. It's high and through the uprights on the football field. A little bit too high to score a goal in that soccer net, but a really nice run by Kelvin and Lovu. Wasn't quite able to finish it off. We remain scoreless with 31.5 minutes to go in the first half. 13.5 minutes into the game so far. Crowley taps it once over to Alex Yanez. Yanez works his way down the sideline, and I think the ball went out of bounds. It was tapped out by Yanez. Throw in here for St. Francis. Tossed in by Leskowski off the foot of Rashid, right back to Jose Martinez. And there's Golubev downfield. Batangelo and Castillo chase it down, and Christian Batangelo knocks it off the sideline. And into the bleacher seating. Holy Cross throw-in coming up. Saints finished the season on Saturday at St. Ambrose, a 2 o'clock in the afternoon start time to that game. St. Ambrose, like Holy Cross, has struggled in conference this year as Mohammed Rashid heads that one out of the way. Rashid downfield working with Yemen, and they lose the ball to David Villegas. Villegas tripped up by Jose Martinez, and there's the whistle against Martinez. Huge turnaround for St. Francis this year. They went winless in conference last year. This season, 6 conference victories with a chance for as many as 8. And although you can't put anything in the books until you play the games, pretty good shot at 8 wins considering their competition. Holy Cross and St. Ambrose have combined for just 3 victories in conference play this year. There's the kick, deep into the box, knocked up into the air by Gopal and out of bounds. Second time that Gopal has gotten a pretty good ball, kicked his way in the box in front of the net. Last time he headed it over. This time he kicks it over and really got under on that kick. Soaring well over the net and back out of bounds for a goal kick. Tangelo heads that one back to Cotto, who makes the stop as the goalie. Ball had a little bit of heat on it off the head of Christian Batangelo, just trying to harmlessly tap it back to his goalkeeper, and it worked out for the best. But not the easiest catch for the goalkeeper from his own teammate with 29 minutes remaining in the half. As I was saying, it's not an easy road for St. Francis to get these final 2 conference wins, but the schedule is certainly in their favor. This is a team that has not lost a game in conference play this year to any team below 500. Rashid heads it out to Nlovu. And Nlovu is worked off the ball by Leon Gopal. Good defense by the Holy Cross captain. And the Saints will not capitalize on that next opportunity as Messina was trying to get that ball through to Kelvin Nlovu, but out too far in front of him and out of bounds along the back line for a goal kick. Substitution here for Holy Cross in the early going. Cayetano Donoso is in, and Casey Crowley is out. Donoso, the regular starter. Crowley today was making just his 2nd appearance of the season in the starting lineup, though he is frequently used off the bench. Today, it is Donoso making the the appearance off the bench for just the 3rd time this year. Again, typically he is a starter. Gopal kicks it back into the box and knocked away by Tomlinson. That was dangerous. Mohammed Rashid was bearing down on Tomlinson as the ball went back to him. Half second later, Rashid gets there and scores a goal. Tomlinson got to the ball in just enough time. Tossed into Gopal. Leon Gopal, G-O-P-A-L, from Edinburgh, Scotland. One of several players on the Holy Cross Saints from the British Isles. Lewis Tomlinson, Aaron Bannister are both from England. Elliot Sked, who's on the bench, is also Scottish. Harry Francis, Callum Beaver, both in the lineup today. They're both English, as of course is St. Francis's head coach, Dan Cross, who's brought in some players from England for the Fighting Saints as well. That shot skids to the left of the goal, a long-range effort that time from Harry Francis. He had some juice on the shot, but well wide. Cotto did not have to make a play on it. He was able to sit back and just watch that ball go out of bounds. Still no score. Just about 19 minutes into the game. Downfield, that ball bounces once in front of Yemen. Now Yemen makes a run at it and can't catch up as Gopal knocks it away. There's Villegas forcing it ahead to Donoso. Donoso trying to get it back to Villegas. Martinez in on the defense, and Martinez is called for the trip as he nearly forced David Villegas to the ground. Holy Cross resumes play very quickly. Down to the far side, headed up into the air by Leon Laskowski and out of bounds. Holy Cross will retain possession. Holy Cross has outshot St. Francis 5-1 so far. They've spent a good deal of time in possession of the ball on this side of the field. But so far nothing doing as far as scoring goes. There's the long throw in by Bannister, headed away by Mohammed Rashid, back in the box. Rashid heads it away again. They're keeping the ball up in the air. Finally it bounces once, and Castillo kicks it away. There's Venoso with a good ball that knocked away, and the Saints working with the ball in the air once again. Really using their heads over the last couple of minutes. Forced all the way back to the right foot of goalkeeper Lewis Tomlinson. Tomlinson softly rolls it out in front of him to Francis as defensive help. Gopal back to the goalie again. Tomlinson rolls to Gopal, and Gopal's kick across midfield is deflected in the other direction by Mason Messina. Nobody down there except for Tomlinson, who ran off to the corner of the keeper's box and picked that ball up. Momentum nearly carried him outside the box, which would have been a handball then, but he was able to put on the brakes in just enough time. Again, he's all alone over there. The Holy Cross defense is up at or beyond midfield right now. Action has stayed on this side of the field. Fighting Saints are trying to change that right now, and Stephen Campbell's throwing. There's Messina lofting it down the near sideline. Joshua Yemen on the chase, but Gopal in better position. And Gopal kicks it out of bounds. Throw in here for St. Francis. But first we've got an injury to deal with near midfield. It's Mohammed Rashid down on the ground and getting himself up on his feet. He seems to be okay. Grabbing at his head. So there must have been some contact there. But he doesn't appear to be bleeding. Just clutching at his forehead a few times. He's okay. He's going to stay in the game. Stephen Campbell throws it in. Knocked out of bounds. Raul Roman well defended by a couple of black shirts. Campbell tosses it back in, looking for Roman initially. He throws it over the head of Joshua Yemen and right over towards the goalkeeper, Lewis Tomlinson. Now there's an injured Holy Cross Saint, as Aaron Bannister's a little bit shaken up, crouching down right next to the goalkeeper. And finally he'll sit down, and they will stop play for a moment and have him looked at. Down on the ground initially, he pulled himself up. It appeared to be okay. He was hunching over, indicating he clearly wasn't feeling 100%, but he was going to try to walk it off, and after a moment, he decided it was too much. Went back to sit down and called for a stop and play. The officials stopped the clock at 22:57. And Harry Francis will be walked off the field before we're ready to continue. See if Holy Cross brings in a substitute for him. So far, no action from their bench. He is off to the sideline, out of play. So they should be able to continue in just a moment. No score. Not a lot of action. Neither team has seen their goalie get involved yet. There has not been a shot on goal in this game. St. Francis is getting shot overall, or outshot overall, I should say, 5-1. Back in play. Here comes Holy Cross. Gopal downfield, middle of the field, headed away by Christian Batangelo. Loose on the far sideline. Callum Beaver can't chase it down. It's out of bounds for a Holy Cross throw-in. Into the box, and a whistle blows. This is going to go against Holy Cross. Alex Yanez was the one with the nifty ball work, moving down the field there. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto has it set up for a big kick, and he's got a big leg. Saints can't go back any further than the Holy Cross defense, and they're pulled up right now. They have not allowed anything to get by them of late. Out of bounds for Holy Cross throw-in. Another chilly day in Joliet today, as it was yesterday. for the women's soccer game against Holy Cross. Roman downfield looking for Rashid, and he won't find him. Instead, it's Gopal knocking it back to the goalkeeper. Temperature is about the same as it was yesterday, but the wind not very strong right now. And unlike yesterday, there's been no rain today. A couple of hours ago, before the sun went down, it was very bright. We had abundant sunshine today after non-stop rain yesterday. It didn't stop until right before our game here began. It worked out nicely. It was relatively dry during the game, but everything around was wet because of all the rain we had received. It didn't rain today, so it is a lot more comfortable looking outside at the moment, even though it is still chilly, down in the low 40s temperature-wise. Here's Mendez, back to Lynch. Francis right back into the game after the injury knocked him out earlier. Yanez will take the shot, deflected off to the goalkeeper, Kodo. No problem off the deflection, it rolled right into his waiting hands. Still no score. If you're Holy Cross, you have to feel a little bit more encouraged probably than you do if you're St. Francis right now. Fighting Saints have not been able to get anything going against what has looked like a very stout Holy Cross defense. Holy Cross, on the other hand, has penetrated the Saints D a few times. They've gotten some good looks at the net. They have not been able to capitalize. They've taken 5 shots. None of them have gone on goal, but a few have been close. Carlos Barracoto has certainly had to stay alert over there, and to this point he has. Pass to Raul Roman, intercepted by Bannister. And Bannister works Roman away from the ball, giving it a good kick beyond midfield. Battle for the ball now, won initially by Kelvin and Lovu. Ilya Golubevs tries to take it back, but it is the Fighting Saints on the move down the far sideline. Mohamed Rashid rolls it out in front of him. Francis deflected out by Rashid, and out, I think, for a goal kick. The ball right in the corner, and rather than a goal kick, they'll give him a throw-in from right in that corner. There's a big kick downfield by the goalie, Lewis Tomlinson. 19 minutes and a little bit of change to go in the first half. Nothing doing offensively so far. Here's Mendez. Mendez passes to Villegas, gets it right back. Nice little give and go there. It's tapped away by Castillo. Good defense by the freshman Castillo. Here's Mason Messina to Stephen Campbell, and Campbell was not able to avoid touching it before it went out of bounds, so the throw-in possession is awarded to the team in black. Holy Cross tosses it in. Golubev has nowhere to go. Stephen Campbell downfield. Campbell looking for Yemen, and Yemen is shoved a bit from behind as he tries to pull that pass in. Free kick here. Tangelo takes the kick down the near side. It is headed out by Holy Cross, and their number 2, Aaron Bannister. That allows the Saints to make a substitution here. Miguel Duran, one of the 10 seniors honored earlier tonight for senior night, enters the game. He has not missed one his last 3 years. And Yemen heads out for now. Duran has it knocked out of bounds away from him. First touch of the game for Miguel Duran. Here's Mohamed Rashid. Tapped off to the sideline, and Stephen Campbell. Campbell's pass deflected out of bounds in the corner by Michael Lynch. And Lynch's deflection carried a little bit too far to the inside as it went out the back line, just around the flag. And it sets up a corner kick for St. Francis. It's the first corner kick that either side has seen in nearly a half hour of soccer today. Leon Laskowski's got a team-leading 5 assists this year. He'd like to pick one up on this play. Out of the corner. There's the kick. Headed away by Holy Cross. It is Duran chasing that ball down out of bounds. He gets to throw it in. Saints stay on the attack. Into Rashid. Rashid turns inside and passes to Messina. Messina chipped into the box, headed away by the defense, and right by Miguel Duran. Nearly had an opportunity there. Here's Stephen Campbell with a good ball to the back post, and a little bit too far for Nlovu or Roman. Raul Roman got his foot on it, but he was behind the net already at that point. No chance to score, so it's out for a goal kick. "16 minutes to go. Nothing. Saints have outscored their opponents this year, 30-13, averaging exactly 2 goals per game. They've been going through a rough patch offensively, at least they had been prior to Saturday, as Carlos Ferrer Cotto picks that loose ball up. They had been shut out in 3 of their previous 4 games, all of them 1-0 losses. But on Saturday, they scored 4 goals. For just the 3rd time this year that they scored 4 or more. Really only the 4th time this year that they scored more than 2 goals in any game. Or rather the 3rd. 3rd time they scored more than 2 goals in a game. 3 of them came in the second half. They may be a second half team today, although they still have 15 minutes to try to get something going before the end of the first half. They are tied with Holy Cross, 0-0. There have been only 4 tie games in all of CCAC play this year, so the odds are against one right here. But the way this defensive battle has shaped up, and not just because of the fact that there's no score through more than 30 minutes, but because there have been very few shots, the defenses have been that dominant so far today. Anytime you have a game like this, overtime looks more like a likely possibility than it typically would. We've still got an hour of soccer to play here. We'll see if anybody is able to come up with a good play down the road. Turn it into a point. Knocked out of bounds by Holy Cross, and a good job right there by Donoso, allowing the defense a chance to get back because everybody was pushed ahead in the black shirts. Now they're back on D, but it doesn't stop Nlovu from going on a nice run into the box. It's stopped by Lewis Tomlinson. Tomlinson makes the save, but you like the pressure that Kelvin Nlovu was putting on the defense anyway. Perhaps a good omen for later in the game. Down the middle of the field, it bounces into the box and picked up by Cotto. There's the kick. Down to midfield. Messina loses that battle with Golubev. Taken away there by Brian Castillo. This is Golubev. Golubev inside. Nice ball to Mendez. Mendez is tripped up in the box. Good tackle by Stephen Campbell. Just slowing down Mendez a little bit, just enough to allow the reinforcements to come in. If not for that slide tackle from Stephen Campbell, Mendez has an open look. Instead, he ends up not taking a shot at all. Defense came in and put a stop to it. There's a whistle, and the free kick is going to go to St. Francis. And it's going to come from about 45 yards away, just slightly to the right side of the field. Set up by Leon Laskowski. Laskowski sends it towards the net, stopped by Lewis Tomlinson on the fly. Right in the breadbasket there, an easy stop for Tomlinson. Here comes Holy Cross. Gopal to his right. Downfield into the box. Villegas was looking for it. It was headed away by Stephen Campbell. And the Saints are able to get it out of the danger zone. Here's Miguel Duran across midfield. Duran gets it through to Nlovu, and Kelvin Nlovu was definitely offsides there. An easy call for the official on that one. Rashid looked like he was onsides, and they got the ball to Nlovu instead. And he was too far out in front. Hence the stoppage and the free kick coming up here for Holy Cross. Ilya Golubevs needs a slight delay to tie his shoe, but he and everyone else ready to go now with 11.5 minutes to play in the first half. Petangelo heads it towards the sideline and knocked away. There's Mohamed Rashid on the takeaway. Down into the box. Tomlinson stops it and sends it back to the left side, reversing field. Good defensive first half so far. It's been a stalemate. Neither team has had too many good opportunities. Good contrast to the game we had here just a few days ago. Second to last home game of the regular season. There's a lot more offense in that game, especially from the St. Francis side, even in the first half when they weren't scoring as much. They were really peppering Robert Morris with shots. Today, they've taken only 4 of them and only 1 shot on goal. Into the box, down towards the back line, and rather than get the goal kick, Carlos Ferracoto will pick it up and put his own twist on the goal kick. Headed up into the air by Holy Cross and back in the other direction by St. Francis. Messina can't control it with the first touch. Taken away by Villegas. David Villegas working downfield against Stephen Campbell. Gets by Campbell, but runs into more trouble as Jose Martinez steps in from the midfield to play defense. And ultimately, the result of the play is a weak shot that rolls easily into the hands of Carlos Ferracoto. Gopal heads it to midfield. Villegas can't get there. It's Messina instead. Messina to the right side. It's Duran on the cross and nobody there to receive it. Headed away by Holy Cross. They've done a nice job of preventing those easy opportunities for St. Francis. Their defense has played very well today. Not a bad defense for the year. Entering play today, they had allowed just 25 goals in 14 games. And they've been much better with Lewis Tomlinson in there. Tomlinson's got just a 1.39 goals against average. Their other goalie, Noah Kemp, is at 2.33. Rashid centers it, and Nlovu turns around, fires a shot, and it's stopped by Tomlinson. Well, nice work by St. Francis. For the first time today, they had a legitimately scary threat. And then Nlovu, can't blame him for taking that shot. It was a good one, but unfortunately for the Fighting Saints, Tomlinson was right there and ready to make the play. Tomlinson continues to roll the ball out and now gives the big kick down to St. Francis' defensive end. Here's Mohamed Rashid looking to control that ball, tapping it off to his left. And Laskowski's pass is intercepted. There's a shove on Fighting Saints. Free kick for Holy Cross. They let everybody get up before making this kick. 8 minutes to go in the first half. Still scoreless. There's the kick, headed up into the air, out of bounds. Another opportunity squandered by Holy Cross. And they'll make another substitution here. Kalen Sadler is in. Sadler in for David Villegas. Kellen Sandler's playing his 11th, make up his 15th game this year. He started 10 of them. Sadler's got an assist, no goals this season. Actually flipped it around, he's got 1 goal, no assists. Poked away by St. Francis, but again, nobody there to back them up on the offensive end. So an easy pickup for Tomlinson. There's Gopal passing off to the right. And they'll go all the way back to their goalkeeper Tomlinson to reset this thing. Goalkeepers have gotten a lot of action in this game, despite the fact that there have been a combined total of only 3 shots on goal. A lot of balls in their direction they've been able to scoop up. Plays that don't necessarily count as saves, but that show the goalie's value to the team. We've seen these two keepers' values to their respective teams today. I think we've got a substitution coming up before the throw-in. Alassane Diop is in along with Christian Rubio. Let's see who's coming out. Looks like Nate Mendez and Cayetano Donoso. Cayetano Donoso was a sub himself, but now he gets to take a rest. Holy Cross got that ball into the box, but stopped by the St. Francis defense, and now Carlos Ferrer-Cotto comes up to kick it away. 5:45 remaining in the first half. See if the Saints have a flurry of activity over these final few minutes of the half and are able to take the lead into the break. Down into the corner, long run for Duran. He can't get there. And that's out to Holy Cross, their ball, and that went out right in the corner, but it was along the sidelines. So that's a big deal for St. Francis. They force Holy Cross to just throw it in. No corner kick here. Or goal kick, rather. Would have gotten it downfield quickly. They were able to get it downfield relatively quickly anyway. Stephen Campbell has it taken away from him by Golubevs, and Golubevs still working for the ball. But Campbell gets it back over to Mohamed Rashid. Rashid is not able to win that challenge. The ball goes down into the box. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto trying to pick it up unsuccessfully. The ball is loose in front of the net, but nobody there wearing black. The Saints catch a huge break. Holy Cross still on the attack. It's Kalen Sadler, and then knocked out of bounds by St. Francis. It was Alassane Diop who forced Carlos Ferrer-Cotto to miss that ball. He was just coming over to try to pick it up. Diop was not at a good angle to score, but he was at a perfect angle to put the ball right in front of the net and allow a teammate to come in and just tap it in. There were no teammates around, though, and the Saints were able to get a couple of defenders there to clear it out of harm's way and then bring on the reinforcements as Holy Cross continued the attack. Holy Cross not even able to get a shot off during that sequence. That's a big victory for St. Francis in the short term. Still need to score if they want to have a real victory in the long term of this game. Middle of the field, Rashid was going after that ball, but it's taken away by Sadler. Down on the far sideline, Christian Rubio tries to keep it in bounds, but it goes out for Holy Cross. It'll be a free kick for Holy Cross. Down by the sideline, Harry Francis kicks it into the middle of the field, and Leon Gopal. His pass intercepted by Miguel Duran. Duran tries to get it through to Mohamed Rashid. Too strong for Rashid. Couldn't chase it down. Big kick downfield and off the head of Christian Batangelo, out of bounds. Holy Cross gets the throw in. Three minutes still to play in the first half, so we're getting late here in the first 45-minute segment. And we've got no score. A game of good defenses so far. Into the box, headed away. Mohamed Rashid was able to knock that ball out of harm's way, and the Saints will be able to move it further downfield as they get to throw it in now. And they'll make a substitution as well. It is for Raul Roman, who heads to the bench. Anthony Scripp hands in his warm-up shirt, and Scripp now into the game for the Fighting Saints. One of the seniors honored today on senior night, Anthony Scripp, making his 14th appearance off the bench this season. He's got 2 goals and an assist. Scripp, throughout his 4-year career, has played in, including tonight, now 37 games for the Fighting Saints in 4 years. That ball bounces once and skips past everybody, including Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, who turns around and watches that ball just bounce harmlessly out the back line. Simpson's trying to make a run. unable to do it. Here's Holy Cross. Fighting Saints take that ball away on defense, off at midfield. It's Rashid losing possession. Final 90 seconds of the first half. Here's a run on the far sideline, Alex Yanez. Yanez working against Leon Laskowski. Laskowski trying to force that ball out the sideline, and he will for a Holy Cross throw-in. Perhaps the last little run that Holy Cross will make in this first half as they try to break a scoreless tie going into the break. And they are taking their time because they don't want St. Francis to have time for a counterattack. Aaron Bannister all the way up from the defensive line. He's let about 20 seconds go by before now finally throwing it in. Into the box and headed away by Rashid. Chasing it down, Miguel Duran. Duran shoved from behind by Christian Rubio. The call is made against Holy Cross. The Saints get a free kick here, 30 seconds. And Matangelo trying to force Kellen Sadler away from the ball, but the clock is continuing to run. Now there's a big kick downfield headed back by Holy Cross. Rashid will take a shot from way out there and it will bounce out of bounds. That should just about wrap up the first half of play. Tomlinson will take his time to set it up. And he won't even take the kick here. He just lets it go, and that will be the end of the first half of play. A competitive first half. Holy Cross probably outperformed St. Francis in terms of time of possession and more offensive chances, but they weren't able to get anything out of it. And in fact, really only had one or two shots that really came close to going in on Carlos Ferrer Cotto. So we'll take a 15-minute break. More exciting soccer action coming your way shortly. We've got 45 minutes to decide this one, and St. Francis trying to pick up their 7th win of the conference season. So we'll take a break now, and I'll be back in about 15 minutes to get you the second half. Scoreless between the Saints and Holy Cross. We are underway in the second half of action. No score between St. Francis and Holy Cross. The penultimate game in the regular season for the Fighting Saints and for the Saints of Holy Cross as well. We have no score so far. Not a lot of offensive action in the first half. The two teams went back and forth. Neither side had too many really good scoring chances as Carlos Ferrer-Cotto scoops up the ball from the goalkeeper's position for St. Francis. The two teams have, of course, swapped sides. St. Francis and White now going from right to left. Here's Leon Laskowski, not quite able to get to that ball. Instead, it's Holy Cross and Ilya Golubevs. He pushes it ahead for Alex Yanez. Yanez down the sideline, trying to get around Brian Castillo. Castillo does a good job of forcing Yanez off that ball and allowing it to roll out of bounds for a goal kick. Looking at some of the stats from the first half, like I said, not a whole lot of action. There were no goals scored, of course. Shots 8-6 in favor of the visitors, Holy Cross. Two of the Saints' 6 shots went on target, but Lewis Tomlinson made a couple of saves. Only one of Holy Cross's 8 shots went on target. A few of them that were not on goal came a little bit closer than anything we saw from St. Francis in the first half. There were a couple of chances in particular for Casey Crowley and for Leon Gopal. It went just over the net. But all things told, just one save in the first half for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. That was enough to get him halfway to his 4th shutout of the season. Here's Jose Martinez working his way inside the box. Martinez trying to get around Golubevs. Taps it into Nlovu. Nlovu mishandles on the first touch, but regains his balance and keeps the possession alive for St. Francis. Here's Leon Laskowski. Laskowski makes a nice move to cut around Golubevs, but there are a few more defenders in wait for him. Off to Martinez, and Martinez loses it. Nicely cleared by Holy Cross. Their defense has been very strong today. All throughout the first half they look sharp, and no exception to begin the second half here as the first real challenge for Holy Cross's D results in no shots even being taken. See if the Saints can develop anything this time. Laskowski off to his right, misses the foot of Martinez, and it's taken away by Golubevs. He rolls it off to his left. This is Cayetano Donoso, and Donoso has it poked away from him. Back towards the box, cleared once again by the St. Francis D. And there's a chip into the box from Lynch and picked up cleanly by Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. 3 minutes gone in the second half. Nothing doing so far. Holy Cross has been called for 7 fouls so far in today's game, 4 on St. Francis. One offsides call was called against the Fighting Saints, and that's all that we've seen today in terms of action. That's the extent of the statistics. 3 shots for Leon Gopal lead the way for Holy Cross. St. Francis, only one man has more than 1 shot, and that's Kelvin Nlovu, who has taken 2 of them. All of those stats from the first half. We've not yet seen anything here in the second half as that ball is kicked out of bounds, last touched by the Fighting Saints. It's going to be a throw-in for Holy Cross. It'll be thrown in by Callum Beaver. Beaver up from the defensive line. Picks that ball up and tosses it deep into play. Knocked up into the air by Brian Castillo. Martinez unable to clear it, but he does get that ball to the center of the field where Miguel Duran forces it further on down. Here comes Nlovu, runs right into Leon Gopal. Gopal back to the goalkeeper, and Tomlinson forces it just away from the streaking Kelvin Nlovu. Good ball movement from Holy Cross. It's Yanez nearly losing it to Mason Messina. Callum Beaver down the field for Villegas. Donoso forced off the ball by Mohamed Rashid. Here comes Jose Martinez. Down the right side, knocked away by the defense. Lynch keeps it alive for Holy Cross, passing into the center of the field, and Beaver. There's Leon Laskowski stepping in defensively. Both of these defenses have been awfully good today. Still a long way to go in this game, though. Over 40 minutes still to play, so there's plenty of time for somebody to get on the board. But to this point, neither team has really come close, not in a while at least. It's been a very defensive-heavy game. See if it remains that way going forward as Mohamed Rashid taps it back. Stephen Campbell can't keep that ball in bounds. Too much pressure from the Holy Cross offense. Inbounded off the foot of Batangelo. He did not control it, so the ball is still loose for Holy Cross. There's a shot from just at the outside of the box, and it sails wide. And a lucky break for the Saints that it did. Carlos Ferracotto was not exactly out of position, but he was up a little bit too far to make the stop on that one. He was left scrambling back towards the near corner of that net, and he wasn't going to be able to get there in time, but fortunately the ball didn't get there either. It sailed wide and out for a goal kick. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto has made 48 saves entering play today. He has one in today's game. The defense has been stout as usual. A defense that only allows about 3.5 shots per contest. Given up 2 shots rather than 1 so far in this game. So right around the average, considering we are 51 minutes into today's game. The whistle blows. We're going the other way. Holy Cross gets to put the ball back in play. Harry Francis. Callan Beaver downfield into the box, off the head of Stephen Campbell. Castillo tries to clear it. Now Mason Messina does the same. Here's Holy Cross. Mendez forced to the ground, but he keeps the ball alive to Villegas. Nice move to split the defense. Villegas takes a shot and it's wide. Holy Cross putting the pressure on early in this second half with a couple of shots on their last few possessions. Villegas this time misses wide to the left side after the previous shot had gone wide to the right. And again, Carlos Ferrer-Cotto will get a chance to kick it away. Just like in the first half, this second half has begun with Holy Cross getting a few more opportunities than St. Francis has gotten. By record, St. Francis, a much better team than Holy Cross this year, but on any given day, you don't know what's going to happen. And so far today, probably fair to say that Holy Cross has outperformed St. Francis in this one. Battle for the ball down on the back line. Castillo forces it out of bounds, working against Alex Yanez. And Yanez was, in fact, the last one to touch it, so it's going to be a goal kick for the Fighting Saints. As is always true in any close soccer match like this, it really doesn't matter who is outperforming whom up to this stage of the game. All that matters is who's going to get that goal. And there's a lot of time left in this game. We very well may see 3 or 4 goals scored before all is said and done, but it certainly has the feel of that defensive type of game where 1 goal may be able to do it. And so both teams are going to put a little extra pressure on themselves, knowing that every play could be the game decider here. Headed up in the air by Callan Beaver. Calvin Lovu taps it back to the midfield. Martinez forces it ahead to Rashid. Here come the Saints. Rashid leading the charge. Mohamed Rashid trying to get around Beaver, and he's not able to do it. Nice defense by Beaver. Yanez back to Beaver, who clears it. Looked like Rashid had a step for a moment there, but Beaver closed that up in a hurry. Here's Holy Cross once again on the move. 36 minutes to play in the game. Holy Cross now outshooting St. Francis 10-6 on the night. Here comes Calvin Nlovu. There's a shot from Nlovu and way high. But trying to force the issue a little bit here. Calvin Nlovu comes up empty on that one. Hard to fault him. It's hard for St. Francis. It's been hard all night to get inside on this very tough Holy Cross defense. Anytime you feel like you've got to look, even from that far a distance, just want to be aggressive right now. And that's what Nlovu was doing there, is being aggressive. Here's the goal kick from Tomlinson. Rashid heads it off to Roman. Castillo. Now Laskowski from Messina. Leskowski up into the air, downfield, and headed backwards by Holy Cross. Here's Golubevs. St. Francis bench thought maybe he hit it with his hand. Not so, according to the officials. Messina will keep that ball in bounds, but lose it to Callum Beaver. And on that one, Holy Cross and their bench wanted a foul call. Nothing doing. Down in the corner, Yanez. There's the cross, and cannot hook up with Donoso. Stephen Campbell shadowing Donoso that whole way, not allowing any kind of shot. Now we're quickly reversing field. Gopal on the defense forces that ball back into the hands of Lewis Tomlinson. And no threat after all for St. Francis. Tossed into the box. Kelvin Lovu forced off the ball by Leon Gopal, and once again it'll go back into the hands of Tomlinson. No score here in the second half, just over 10 minutes in. And on the far side, the action going Holy Cross's way. Saints are able to clear it. Out of bounds. Holy Cross throwing. Bannister awaiting the ball. He's got it. Ready to toss it back into play. Headed back by Duran. Here comes Jose Martinez. Down to midfield, and Callum Beaver steps up and knocks it out of bounds. Tossed in by Laskowski to Martinez. And cleared by Harry Francis. Stephen Campbell to the outside looking for Miguel Duran, and he can't find him. Senior night in Joliet tonight. 10 seniors on the St. Francis roster. We've seen most of them tonight. We probably will not see all 10 of them. Brian Vasquez, the backup goalkeeper, has only appeared in 2 games this year. Part-time play early in the season. It's been all Carlos Ferrer-Cotto ever since. Here's Francis working off to the right side. Yanez takes his shot, and it'll curve wide to the left side. Carlos Ferrer-Cotto made a dive for it, but well out of his range, and fortunately for the Saints it was. We'll go out for the goal kick. We've seen Mohamed Rashid, Anthony Scripps, Stephen Campbell, Miguel Duran. We have not seen Ivan Serlina today, or Miguel Espinoza, or Nick Miller. Adam El Salakani has not played today either, and he has not played very much this season. Used in emergencies or in blowouts. He's appeared in 2 games and has scored 1 goal. We saw him out here in what was at the time a 4-goal game on Saturday. Kelvin Lovu stopped by Francis, who rolls it to the outside and out of bounds. Nice defense by Harry Francis. Duran tosses it in to Martinez, who knocks it up in the air, headed away by Mendez. Mohamed Rashid trying to control that off the first touch. He's tripped up. And the Saints are going to get a free kick here. That was just outside of the box, so it won't be a penalty kick. But it is dead center, about 20 yards away. And a real possibility here for St. Francis to break this scoreless tie. This is a huge chance. This is their best obvious chance of the game. Mohamed Rashid, very good on the set pieces. He's got 10 goals this year. Not all of them on free kicks, but we'll see what he is able to handle from, again, dead center, just outside the box here. Big kick coming up for Mohamed Rashid with 31 minutes remaining in the game, trying to break a scoreless tie. He's got a couple of teammates right in front of him. Roman and Ndlovu right in front of the wall. Now they'll split, going one side and the other. There's the shot, and it's deflected over the net by Lewis Tomlinson. Great save. Good-looking shot from Rashid, and Tomlinson just barely able to get his fingertips on it and parry it over the net. Beautiful play by Lewis Tomlinson. A good indication of why this game remains scoreless. A corner kick now for St. Francis. Laskowski takes it to the back of the net. It's headed away. And now cleared by Holy Cross. Stephen Campbell steps up from the defensive end. Campbell gives it a good boot, but well wide to the right, and out of bounds for a goal kick. And Holy Cross dodges that attack from St. Francis. Well, I said before, maybe the best chance of the game, and it certainly turned out to be that way. But a great save by Tomlinson keeps us at 0-0. Holy Cross still working the other way. Down into the box, and Cotto picks it up. One hop in. Could not go out any further than that. But unfortunately, that ball gingerly hopped into his hands just before Donoso could get there. Big kick downfield, one bounce. That one into the box, headed away by Michael Lynch. And on the near sideline, this is Leon Laskowski. Tap back to Messina. Messina forced to the ground by Cayetano Donoso, and a foul called on Donoso. Things getting a little bit more aggressive, more fouls called of late. Leon Laskowski trying to chase that ball down into the corner, and he can't get there. That went out just to the right side of the flag, and that means it was the back line rather than the sideline, and a goal kick here for Holy Cross. Holy Cross making their move downfield. That ball will roll to a stop just outside the box, so Cotto could not pick it up, but he does kick it down the sideline. Getting it out of harm's way for the moment. Holy Cross still on the attack. This is Yanez. Yanez forced off the ball by Leon Laskowski. No foul called, but the ball does go out of bounds. Last touch by Laskowski. Throw in for Holy Cross. Into Villegas. Right back to Beaver. And Beaver kicks it down into the other side. Easy pickup for Cotto, who rolls it back into play very quickly, wanting to start a quick counterattack. Duran downfield, and a long chase for Raul Roman. He won't get there. That ball's knocked out of bounds. St. Francis will get a throw in near midfield, and we will see one of those other seniors coming on. Adam El-Salakani is in, and Leon Laskowski is coming out. So El-Salakani does get to make his third appearance of the season. It's the second straight game that he's played in. And Raul Roman will step back into Laskowski's place and play some defense while El-Salakani inhabits the forward position. Here comes Holy Cross on the big run after the throw-in. Nobody on that side of the field, so Batangelo will have no problem getting to that ball and reversing it to Mason Messina. Out of bounds, Duran gave it a chase. He couldn't catch up as it did go out the sideline. 27:15 remaining on the clock. We are scoreless. And starting to get a little bit late in this game. Tomlinson had the biggest play of the game just a few minutes ago. A huge stop off of a free kick from Mohamed Rashid. Just 20 yards out. 22 yards out technically, but great play by Tomlinson any way you slice it. There's Golubev's off to the far side. Stephen Campbell comes up with the stop. Ball loose at midfield, and Golubev's comes away with it. Here's Jose Martinez with a good challenge and a steal. Callum Beaver takes it back for Holy Cross. Downfield deflected. Both teams battling for it around midfield. Neither side able to take control until Holy Cross finally gets it downfield somewhat. And has it taken away by the St. Francis defense. Campbell looking to hook up with Kelvin and Lovu. And Lovu can't chase that ball down. It goes out of bounds. Callum Beaver puts it right back in play, and they'll send it back to the goalkeeper, Tomlinson. Fighting Saints increasing their attack a little bit of late. It's been a long time since we've seen Holy Cross get something really good developing towards the net. El-Salakani trying to chase that ball down. Can't reach it. Instead it's Yanez for Holy Cross knocking it out. He and Roman involved in the tussle there, and it was last touched by Yanez. So it's a throw in for Roman and the Fighting Saints. Roman going in deep, but Lynch jumps in front of El-Salakani and takes it away. And El-Salakani, in the process, reached around and grabbed him. So it's a Free kick for Holy Cross. Bruno Souza is in for Holy Cross. Alex Yanez taking a seat right now. On the far side, that's Duran, playing from a defensive position. Ahead, long way for Messina. Messina can't quite track it down. Instead, it's picked up by Lewis Tomlinson, who stepped up a ways from his goalkeeper's spot and was able to make a nice pickup. We remain scoreless. 24.5 minutes to play in the game. Knocked up into the air, midfield, on the near sideline, headed by Beaver in the right direction for Holy Cross. Trying to keep that momentum pushing forward, but Tangelo stops it. Nelson Lacani taps it to the right. Coming quickly down the sideline is Stephen Campbell. Campbell taps it to Martinez, up into the air and out of bounds. Throw in for Holy Cross. Where that call has been reversed. It's going to be a throw in for St. Francis, or a free kick for St. Francis. Martinez was shoved down the play. Stephen Campbell's going to take the kick here. Campbell downfield into the box and headed away by Holy Cross. Cleared by Villegas. This is Campbell once again, sending it to the back side of the field. Chasing that ball down in the corner is Raul Roman. Roman keeps it alive for the Fighting Saints. There's an attempt at a cross, but deflected out of bounds by Souza. St. Francis will hold on to possession here with a throw-in. From deep into the corner, Raul Roman will take the throw. No, he won't. He's going to give it off to Mohamed Rashid to take the throw. Rashid lobs it in front of the net just a little bit high for the outstretched head of El Salakani. Stephen Campbell into the box. Mohamed Rashid heads it in front of the net and it's cleared. Good defensive play by Harry Francis, keeping the shutout going. Now Rashid on the left side. Rashid crosses over the head once again of El Salakani. Saints had a couple of good opportunities there. The Holy Cross defense stood strong the whole time. Martinez passes to his right. There's a cross from Campbell. The ball loose in front of the net. Duran chasing it, but he can't reach it. Harry Francis gets there first and knocks it away. Saints keeping the pressure on, but ultimately Batangelo knocks it off the sideline. It's going to be a Holy Cross throw-in, and they'll get a chance to move the ball in the other direction. Substitution for Holy Cross, Elliot Sked, a sophomore midfielder from Scotland, checks in. And Nate Mendez will get another rest. Mendez spent the end of the first half on the bench, and he's taken out now with 22 minutes remaining in the second half. Batangelo back into the corner, and Batangelo knocks it out of bounds. Got a whistle from the official away from there. There's going to be a throw-in for St. Francis and Stephen Campbell. Headed by Lynch. No teammates there. Instead, it's St. Francis taking control. Roman on the near sideline. Knocked away by Beaver and out of bounds. Raul Roman tosses it in. Off the chest of El Salakani, looking to get it to the outside to Kelvin and Lohu trying to keep it in bounds. He can't do it. Very close, but it does indeed spin out. So Beaver tosses it back into Tomlinson, and Lewis Tomlinson will send things the other way. Reversing field. Holy Cross trying to make a run. We have no score. More than halfway through the second half. Downfield along the sideline. Nobody there. Nobody will play it. And St. Francis will get to throw this ball in. Messina rolls it ahead for El Salakani against a couple of defenders. To the right side, Duran knocks it back. Here comes Holy Cross. This is Villegas leading the charge. He is halted by Stephen Campbell. Slide tackle. But the ball knocked off the foot of Elliott Sked, right back to the St. Francis defense. Worked ahead, Kelvin and Lovu making a run. Nearly got to that ball before Beaver and Francis. But Holy Cross is able to play it defensively. Nice challenge by Nlovu, just didn't quite work out. Now a whistle blows against Brian Castillo as he's called for the foul. Under 20 minutes to play in this one. Francis will get to take the free kick here. He waits for his teammates to get set up on the far end. This ball just over 40 yards out and to the right side. Here comes the big kick from Harry Francis. Francis pushes it into the box and it's headed away by Batangelo. Messina trying to work the quick turnaround going the other way. Messina ahead for El Salakani, tapped right back to Mason Messina, and he wasn't ready for it. Messina knocked down from behind, and the foul is called against Villegas. Messina slowly works his way up from the knockdown, and now the Fighting Saints will get the free kick here. Headed up into the air. Mohammed Rashid knocks it down St. Francis's way. The ball loose now. Salakani puts it down with his chest down in front of Nlovu, but it's knocked away by the defense. Here's Raul Roman on the near sideline. Roman, nice move to get around Souza. Rolls it into the box and nobody there wearing white. Easily cleared by Francis. Here's Villegas wearing the neon green shoes, working it ahead to Sked. And now down the field to Donoso. And taken away from him by Batangelo. Duran hits it off of Aaron Bannister. Knocks it right out the sideline. Here's Miguel Duran on the throw-in from midfield. Rashid trying to control this ball. He finds Calvin Nlovu. Saints still in possession. Duran. Middle of the field, Jose Martinez. Martinez working down the center. He's got Roman to his left. Trying to cut it back towards the middle of the field, but well defended the entire way by Ilya Golubevs. And Golubevs takes it away. Here's Villegas. Villegas hugging the sideline. Roman tackles and takes that ball out of bounds. Nice tackle by Raul Roman there. Beautiful challenge. It is a throw-in, though, for Holy Cross. 17.5 minutes to go in the game. At least in regulation, this thing keeps up. We're going to be going to overtime. Neither team has been able to score. St. Francis takes the ball away, but Sked forces it back in the other direction for Holy Cross. And here's Callum Beaver now. Beaver, the defender for Holy Cross, kicks that ball off of Mohammed Rashid and out of bounds. Here's Beaver tossing it into Sked. And Sked's first kick is taken right back by Mason Messina. Ball loose in midair. Midfield. Knocked ahead to Nlovu. Now Salakani. Taps it to his right. Martinez. Martinez, nice fake. Gets around the first defender. Can't get around the second one as Elliott Sked knocks it back. At midfield, Roman. Messina chips it ahead for Mohammed Rashid. Rashid stayed on sides, but he couldn't catch that ball before it went out of bounds. It's another throw-in for Holy Cross on the near sideline, back on their defensive end. Tossed into Souza, and now it's Sked. Middle of the field, Leon Gopal across midfield. Knocked back off the knee of Christian Batangelo. Batangelo jumps in front of another loose ball. Picked up by David Villegas. Neither team able to control possession. Martinez trying to change that as he gets ahead to Mohammed Rashid. Rashid, nice ball forward to Calvin Nlovu. One man to beat defensively, and Nlovu cuts it to the inside, takes the shot, and it's wide to the right. Nice pass by Rashid. Good setup by Calvin Nlovu. Just a little bit wide, and we remain scoreless with 15:40 on the clock. Nick Miller comes in for St. Francis. Miller playing in his 53rd game over 4 years for the Fighting Saints. One of the seniors being honored today on senior night, as is Miguel Duran, who heads out. His 65th career game. Miguel Duran has not missed a game over the last 3 seasons, and the streak continues today. But he will take a seat now in favor of Nick Miller on the defense right side. Injured player for Holy Cross is Elliott Sked as he walks gingerly off the pitch, but no help needed to get him off the field. He is walking off on his own power, even though with a slight limp. He appears to be all right. They may have to replace him for the time being, though. 15:35 the clock is stopped at. And we're back underway. Here's Francis. Francis, deep down the sideline, looking for Callum Beaver. Raul Roman on the defense and knocked away by St. Francis. Here's Souza for Holy Cross. Towards the sideline. Souza pushes it ahead and cleared by the Fighting Saints defense, knocked out of bounds. Tossed in by Beaver. Martinez takes it away for St. Francis and rolls it ahead. On the far side, it's El Salakani getting the feed from Miller and kicked away looking for Nlovu downfield. Here's Francis. Along the near sideline and past the outstretched foot of Castillo, but Petangelo was able to step in and make the defensive play. And there's a trip up. Jose Martinez is run into by Ilya Golubevs, and foul will be called against Golubevs. The Fighting Saints will get the free kick here. 11th foul called against Holy Cross. Only 6 against St. Francis. Kick downfield, off the head of Gopal. And a collision between Lynch and El Salakani. And the clock will stop at 13:54 as both men are still down. 3 guys went up for that ball. Gopal's the one who hit it. He was the back man of the 3. There was a collision between Adam El Salakani and Michael Lynch. And a couple of big guys there running into one another. El Salakani is up. Lynch is still down. He'll be looked at by the trainer. So hopefully he's all right. That was a pretty big collision there, and he's still down on the ground, joined now by Omar Gallo, the head coach of the Holy Cross Saints, as they tend to him. No score. Just about 14 minutes to play in the game. St. Francis outshot by Holy Cross so far, 11-10, but Fighting Saints have had a few better chances. 3 shots on goal, including 1 on a free kick by Mohamed Rashid, which was a really good-looking kick that Lewis Tomlinson was able to leap up, get off his fingertips, and just barely prevent from going in. And that's the biggest play of the game so far for either team's defense in keeping this game scoreless. So we'll have a substitution for Holy Cross now as Lynch is going to have to exit for now. Christian Rubio comes in. And Lynch a little bit shaken up, but doesn't seem to be much the worse for wear as he jogs off the field. And El Salakani will exit as well. Dan Cross wants to get a few things cleared up. Not quite ready to continue. I think El Salakani is going to go right back in. The yellow card was given to Holy Cross on the play, Harry Francis, and so it is going to be a free kick for Mohamed Rashid. The center of the field, here's the shot, and it is saved low by Lewis Tomlinson. So we got ourselves right back underway in a big way. Big save made by Tomlinson, and we're going quickly back the other way. Mason Messina defensively able to knock that ball up into the air. Headed forward by Bannister. Nick Miller knocks it back for the Fighting Saints. And it is cleared. And Lovu chasing it down, but Leon Gobel gets there first and heads it out of bounds. There's the toss in from Miller. Towards Lovu, but Francis gets there. Knocks it up in the air, and Francis is shaken up now. The ball is still loose down in the corner. Play has not been stopped with Harry Francis down injured for Holy Cross. Nick Miller is going to try to keep this attack going for the Saints, and now as Francis has still not gotten up, Miller will just tap it out of bounds and allow them to administer whatever needs to be done to Harry Francis. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It looks like he may have gotten hit with a high kick there. He immediately hit the ground and has been down with his head on the ground ever since. He gets himself up into a kneeling position and will sit there for a moment. They initially called the training staff over, but they will not be necessary after all. Francis says that he's doing all right. He was down on the ground for a good amount of time, but apparently is okay. He's going to limp that one off. And the clock will start to run once again as Holy Cross kicks it downfield, thanks to Lewis Tomlinson. They'll get that ball all the way back to Carlos Ferrer-Cotto and allow him to put the ball back in play from St. Francis's goalkeeper position. That ball skied across midfield, headed back the other way by Golubevs. Ball loose at midfield. Golubevs taps it over to Souza. Rolled ahead for Mendez. On the right side, it's Callum Beaver. Beaver pushes it past Roman and out of bounds for a goal kick. Still scoreless here. The game has gotten a lot more physical of late. We've seen a couple of injuries, primarily on Holy Cross, although none of them have seemingly been too serious. The one on Francis just a moment ago, it looked like he was in some serious pain for just a moment, but after that he was able to get up, walk around, and stay in the game. Speaking of getting in the game, a couple of substitutions getting ready to come on for Holy Cross. First, it'll be Alassane Diop. Diop comes in and Cayetano Donoso comes out. And for St. Francis, Leon Laskowski is back in. Nick Miller, a little bit of action in his final home game here with the Fighting Saints, at least in the regular season. But Miller is out, Laskowski is in. Nothing tie, 11-11 to go. Free kick for Holy Cross. It's Callum Beaver setting it up to take this one from just across midfield on the right side, near the sideline. Beaver's kick sails towards the goalkeeper. Cotto taps it away off to the right side. A couple of guys hit the deck on a collision there, but everybody's up and moving once again as the ball rolls out of bounds, and it'll go back into the box. The foul called against Holy Cross allows Cotto to get essentially the goal kick here. Physicality, which has really struck of late, continues in this one. To the point where we've seen bodies flying all over the place. A lot more fouls called here in the second half than was the case in the first. At least per minute. Deflected off to the near side. Souza chases it down. Souza rolls it off to the far end of the field. This is Bannister. Ahead into the box looking for Rubio. Rubio knocked off the ball by Batangelo, and the Saints will try to counter here. And Lovu forced to the ground by Francis. A free kick will go to the Saints, and that's going to be a yellow card on Harry Francis. Francis frustrated with the foul call, ended up grabbing the ball and just throwing it into the air. And so he is whistled for a yellow card. And the free kick will come from the same spot that it was at from before anyway, but the yellow card now into the books for Francis. Now, Francis was initially given credit for a yellow card earlier in the game. That one headed towards the net and knocked away by Tomlinson out of bounds for a corner kick. That was on the wrong, I think it was on Gopal earlier, Leon Gopal as opposed to Harry Francis. So yellow cards for both of them. And a corner kick coming up for the Saints with 9.5 minutes remaining on the clock. Leon Laskowski trying to help St. Francis take the lead here. Laskowski's got it set up. Here's the kick. Headed away quickly by Bannister. Right back into the corner. Laskowski will try this thing again. And it's sent right into the side of the net. Out of bounds for a goal kick. The Saints unable to take advantage of that opportunity. And here comes Holy Cross. This is Francis. Francis working along the near sideline against Mohammed Rashid. Deep down the field, headed away by Holy Cross. Knocked up into the air by Mason Messina. Here's Golubevs. Golubevs taps it ahead. Jop. Forced down. Jop down on the ground now. Into a collision with Batangelo. And Batangelo is going to be called for the foul for tripping Jop there. And a free kick coming up from Holy Cross right outside the box. And a tough test now for the St. Francis defense. And notably their goalkeeper, Carlos Ferracoto, who may get one put right on net here. Let's see if Carlos Ferracoto is up to the task the way that Lewis Tomlinson was on the other end off a tough goal kick, or excuse me, a tough free kick from right around the same spot on the field. The opposite end of the field, but just outside the box the way it is here, where Mohammed Rashid was dead center in the field. This one is slightly off to the left. Three black shirts surrounding the ball. We'll see which one of them takes the kick. Bannister, Souza, Golubevs, all set for the approach here. And it's going to be taken by Golubevs, and it's just high and over the net. A laser beam shot right there from Ilya Golubevs. Now here comes a substitution now for St. Francis. Miguel Espinoza will get a little action. Espinoza, a 4-year player for St. Francis. This is his 44th career game. And so another senior gets a chance to play here on senior night. Now it's just Serlina and Vasquez who have not been able to enter the game. Only 7 minutes to play in this one before the potential of overtime. Foul called against St. Francis as Espinoza checks in and immediately is involved in a collision. Here comes Holy Cross from midfield. Tapped by Francis to Leon Gopal. Gopal downfield, headed away by Brian Castillo, and knocked right back to the box by Golubevs. Jop on the run, but Batangelo gets in front of him, forces him away from the ball. Good defense by Batangelo, allowing his keeper a little bit of space, just enough to haul that one in. Now well downfield, headed up into the air by Holy Cross. Getting into the final minutes of regulation here, nothing decided, still 0-0. St. Francis has gone to overtime just twice this year, and one of those games was a 0-0 game going into overtime. They lost that one very quickly in the first OT to Cardinal Stritch, 1-0 back on October 3rd. They'd still like to avoid a 0-0 OT game today as they're looking to win this one in regulation. But we're getting late with under 6 minutes to play. Throw-in coming up here from Holy Cross. Bannister will toss it in. And after all the momentum for 20 minutes or so is really going in the other direction, suddenly over the last couple of minutes, Holy Cross has refound their offense, forcing the Saints' defensive hand as Carlos Ferracoto picks that ball up out of the air before any shot can be taken and throws it deep down the field. Here's Roman ahead for Kelvin Nlovu. Nlovu chasing it down, but he can't reach it. Not before Christian Rubio does. Nice work by Rubio to get out in front of Nlovu. Saints move just a little bit too fast on that possession. The throw from Cotto, too far out in front of Roman, who took a long time to chase it down. By the time he finally got to it, his pass to Nlovu, just a little bit too far out in front of him. So the ball goes back to Carlos Ferrer Cotto, and this time he'll slow things down before entering the ball back into play. A big punt well across midfield. Bounces once towards the sideline, and Roman can't catch up. It'll go out of bounds. Beaver tosses it back into the goalkeeper. Tomlinson gets it downfield. Brian Castillo heads it towards the sideline and out of bounds. Beaver tosses it right back in, again deflected by Castillo. No handball called there. Rubio may have gotten away with one off his arm. The ball sent towards the net, nobody in goal. And Saints catch a big break as that ball hits off the side of the net. Joshua Yemen back in and Adam El Salakani to the bench. Last play, Carlos Ferrer Cotto raced out of his position to grab that ball. It never went in the box, so he couldn't pick it up. And because Holy Cross kept the pressure on, he couldn't easily tap it to himself either. The shot was just off the mark, but the net was wide open for a moment. St. Francis, though, did not allow the goal, and now they'll get a chance to try for one on the other end. This is Messina at midfield. Mason Messina deep down the far sideline. A long run on that ball, and Tomlinson gets there before Laskowski does. There's a kick from Tomlinson. Petangelo off to the right side. Laskowski down the field. Good run from Yemen, and Lovu chasing it as well, and Lovu will knock it right into the hands of Tomlinson, waiting back on that ball. 3 minutes to go in the game. He could be staring at overtime here. Here's Francis. Francis taps it to his left. Chop against Castillo. Right over to Villegas. Villegas forced off the ball by Messina. Now here's Mohamed Rashid. Rashid downfield for Nlovu. Kelvin Nlovu will get to that ball and tap it to the inside. And now looking for the cross to Yemen. Yemen in the box and knocked away from him by Bannister. Well played by Aaron Bannister. Now sent from long range by Leon Laskowski on one hop into the hands of Tomlinson. That one looked like a good opportunity right there for Nlovu. And ultimately, Tomlinson and Bannister able to come up with the stops. St. Francis up from the defensive end. Headed back in the other direction. Here is Nlovu, tapping it to the outside. This is Raul Roman. Roman back ahead to Nlovu. Good run for him. Being chased from behind by Mendez. Nlovu trying to cut it back to the inside, but Mendez following the whole way. There's Rashid. Rashid loses the ball to Mendez. Mendez working down the sideline and out of bounds. Rashid wants it quickly to get it back into play. Just a minute and a half to go in regulation. There's Espinoza across to the far side, and Leon Laskowski. Give it up to Campbell. Campbell into the box for Yemen. Yemen heads it towards the net and headed away and out of bounds by Callum Beaver. Fighting Saints are going to get a corner kick here. 1:15 on the clock right now. By the time this ball gets set up and put back into play, Holy Cross will try to come up with one more big stop and clear it to the other side of the field. If they can get it back across to the St. Francis end, they may have dodged a regulation loss. This is going to be the last push from St. Francis, trying to win this one right here. Laskowski kicks it to the backside. It's played on the backside by Roman. Roman in front of the net, headed away, and cleared by Holy Cross. The flag goes up into the air, and the ball went out of bounds. It went up before the kick downfield, so another corner kick here. Laskowski will force Roman away from the ball, and Laskowski will take it with 35 seconds left. And so now, once and for all, this will be the last chance here for either team. Laskowski in front of the net. It bounces to the backside. Messina controls it. Taps it in front. Headed away by Holy Cross. Beaver clears it. all the way back near midfield. Stephen Campbell keeps the pressure on, but Holy Cross clears it across the midfield line. And with just 10 seconds left now, we are looking at overtime as that ball goes out of bounds. That's going to be the end of regulation here. Holy Cross will toss it back in, but will not have enough time to take a shot. And we are headed to overtime with a 0-0 tie. Exciting finish there. St. Francis had a couple of corner kicks in the last minute. They weren't able to put one in. And so we'll have at least a little bit more soccer played here. Wait to see if anybody is able to score in overtime. The Saints need a win today if they want to get home field for one of their CCAC tournament games. A tie would help them out as well, giving them 1 point, but a win would be huge. So a lot to be determined here. We'll have a 5-minute break and then overtime coming up. 0-0 our score. I'll be right back. We are set to begin overtime number 1 here. 10 minutes are on the clock, and we're tied scoreless. St. Francis had a few really good chances late in the second half. Holy Cross outplayed them in the first half, but neither team was able to get one in. Holy Cross had a chance right there as Jop fired one up over the net and out of bounds. It was off the fingertips of Carlos Ferrer Cotto. And Holy Cross is going to get a corner kick here. took until overtime, but this is the first corner kick of the game for Holy Cross. We'll see if they're able to do anything off of it. It's going to be taken by Souza. Souza right in front of the net, headed by Gopal. And off to the left side, nobody's able to get another touch off of that from Holy Cross, and it rolls away in St. Francis' direction. Two teams going the same way they were going in the second half. The foul is called on Kelvin and Lovu. Holy Cross has outshot St. Francis 16-13. 15 of those shots came in regulation, but 6 of the Fighting Saints' 13 shots have been on goal. Holy Cross only has 3 shots on goal, and of course all 9 shots on goal combined have been saved. 3 good saves for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, 6 for Lewis Tomlinson. Tomlinson had some really nice ones. There's a nice save by Carlos Ferrer-Cotto off a tough header. A strong save to keep this one scoreless in overtime. That's the 4th save of the game for Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, save number 52 this season. Tapped by Yemen. Yemen towards the middle of the field, cleared by Gopal, out of bounds. And we throw in for St. Francis as they get a chance now to work their entire offense forward. Tossed into the backside and Mason Messina. Messina off to the right and Stephen Campbell. Headed by Yemen into the box, just missed, and Lovu knocked away by Lynch. Michael Lynch was knocked out with an injury late in the second half, and he sat out the last several minutes, but he's back in there right now. Missed about 15 minutes, I think, of that second half, but he's back in to start overtime. So that's good to see for Holy Cross. Michael Lynch is all right. He looked all right as he walked off the field, just shaking up a little bit. In the box, Yemen with a high kick on that one, knocked over Aaron Bannister, and Yemen is called for the foul. Holy Cross gets the free kick here. Saints came in with 18 points, 4th best in the conference. A tie would get them 1 point. A win would add 3 more to their total. Their 6-3 record in conference. They have not lost any game to any team with a losing record in conference. Only one of their losses has come to a team that is behind them in the standings, and that's Judson, who entered play today with 15 points, a 5-4 record. This is Jop on the left side against Petangelo. Petangelo wins that battle, but Leon Laskowski can't catch up to that ball before it goes out of bounds, so it's a throw in for Holy Cross. Far sideline. Deep into St. Francis territory. We've got substitutes coming in for both sides. Miguel Duran in for Kelvin and Lovu for the Fighting Saints. And Alex Yanez is back in for the Holy Cross Saints. Checking out is Viegas in the box. Duran heads it up into the air. It's still loose. Saints able to tap it out, and now they're able to clear it fully thanks to Brian Castillo. Laskowski up at the forward position now. He's been playing defense today, but with Enlovu checking out for Duran, Laskowski will be on the attack. Throw in for the Saints, and Castillo kicks it downfield. Now knocked up behind to Laskowski. There's Laskowski and Yemen on the move. Laskowski on the left side, trying to cut it back in, knocked away from him by Callum Beaver, and Beaver just barely does keep it in bounds, preventing the corner kick. Knocked down the way to Mason Messina, off the chest of Messina, taken away by Golubevs. There's Petangelo on the defensive stop for St. Francis. Mohamed Rashid chases this ball down. He's not able to get there before Francis. Harry Francis knocks it back to the goalkeeper. Tomlinson dives on top of that ball and again just barely keeps it in bounds, preventing the corner kick. Well played by Francis and Tomlinson. For a brief moment it looked like Rashid had a step on Francis and may have been able to take the big shot that could have won this game. We've got 5 minutes remaining in the first OT here. Booted away by Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. At midfield, that is Mendez tapping it ahead to Golubevs. Messina knocks it away. Yemen battling with Mendez for this ball, and Mendez tugged from behind by Yemen. That's a foul called on Yemen. Here's Beaver with the kick. He sends it all the way down to the net. And it's stopped by Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Callum Beaver ends up with a shot out of that free kick from more than 55 yards away. But Cotto's able to make the stop and punt it downfield over the head of Leon Laskowski. It'll bounce down into the box, and Tomlinson will kick it away and out of bounds at midfield. Ball bounced on the line and had some weird spin on it. Ended up skipping back inbounds, but it is officially a throw-in for St. Francis. Did leave the field to play. And Laskowski, after getting a few minutes playing forward, will now grab a seat. Anthony Scripp comes in to add a little extra energy to the St. Francis attack with 3.5 minutes to play in overtime. Number 1. Off the chest of Michael Lynch and right back out. Fighting Saints re-enter that ball into play. Knocked away by Holy Cross. Back on the defensive line, it's Petangelo wanting to get it back to the goalie. He does. Cotto makes the stop and sends it down the middle of the field. Headed by Yemen, but right back to the defense. Gopal sends it the other way. There's an interception by Brian Castillo, and Castillo can't control it. A battle for possession of the ball in the middle of the field. St. Francis on the defensive side, able to get it away, and now the ball bounces past Callum Beaver to Mohamed Rashid. Rashid cannot control it off the first touch. Beaver gets back in defensive position and kicks it out of bounds. Rashid set to throw it in. Tossed down into the box to Jose Martinez. Martinez can't haul it in. Tough play for him. And it skips by him and out of bounds for a goal kick. So Holy Cross gets a chance to clear it right here. Tomlinson will take his time setting this one up and booting it away. After today, St. Francis's only game remaining is at St. Ambrose. That's on Saturday, 2 o'clock p.m. start time. Conference tournament then starts next week. It'll be a week from Saturday, in fact. November 4th is the first day of the tournament. Here comes Holy Cross on the attack, down in the corner, knocked away by Petangelo out of bounds. Clock down to 1:45. Bannister goes back. Got a big head start before tossing this ball in. Throws it all the way in front of the net. Headed in front of Carlos Ferrer-Cotto, and it is knocked away by the St. Francis defense. Good defensive stand there by St. Francis. Holy Cross still in no hurry as they try to get one in before sending this one into an extra overtime period. Again, Bannister's taking his time. They'll try to take one last chance here and not give St. Francis the ball back on the other end of the field. Knocked away by the defense. Martinez pops it high into the air and past Joshua Yemen. Holy Cross will stay on the attack. Down into the box, Carlos Ferrer-Cotto has to chase that ball out, and he lets it go. He's not able to pick it up in that stage of the field. He did chase it out of the box. He let it go out for a goal kick. 30 seconds to go. We'll see if St. Francis has one last little run in them, or if we're headed to overtime number 2, still tied 0-0. Here's the kick from Cotto. Right down the sideline, off the foot of Rashid to Scripp. 12 seconds left. The ball sent forward for Mohamed Rashid. Rashid will have it knocked away from him out of bounds, and the Saints are not really going to have enough time here to do anything. Scripp does toss it back in. One last shot from Martinez, deflected by Lynch, and we're going to a second overtime period. So nothing decided after those 10 minutes. We'll have 10 more minutes to try to determine a winner in this one, and if not, we're headed for the second tie of the season for St. Francis. We'll see. All will be determined in a couple of minutes. Quick break here, and then we'll continue with overtime period number 2. Second overtime period coming your way. This is only the third overtime game that the Fighting Saints have played this year. It's the second in conference play. It's only the second time all season that they have gone to a second overtime. First was back on August 22nd. First game of the year against Taylor. We're underway as the two teams have flip sides once again. Team in white, St. Francis, going from left to right. Holy Cross trying for an attack here. The whistle blows as a foul is called against Cayetano Donoso, ramping up the Saints defender. Anthony Script taps it towards the outside, trying to get it to Miguel Duran. It's knocked out of bounds, last touched by Holy Cross. Updated look at the stats. Holy Cross still out shooting St. Francis. 18-14 the total right now. 6-5 shots on goal in favor of the Fighting Saints. Fouls, 15 called against Holy Cross, only 9 against St. Francis. There have been 2 yellow cards given out, and both of them 2 players wearing black today. And 1 double yellow as well earlier in the game. 9 minutes to go in double overtime here. If nobody scores by the end of this one, we'll call it a tie. Offsides flag up against Holy Cross. First time they've been called for an offsides all day. Saints have tied one other game this year. That was that one I just mentioned, August 22nd. First game of the season against Taylor. Holy Cross has tied twice this season, both times in conference play. St. Francis has played a lot of tight defensive games this season, but nothing quite as tight as this one has been. Holy Cross trying to make the move. This is Cayetano Donoso working his way to the left side. Donoso against a couple of defenders, forced off the ball by Duran, and Duran was the last one to touch it before going out of bounds. Holy Cross has the throw in here. Fighting Saints this season have lost 5 1-0 games. They've won a 1-0 contest once, and once they've tied 1-1. So there have been quite a few games in which nobody has gotten the 2 goals, but they have not had a single 0-0 finish, and that will be the case here if nobody scores during this overtime period. Knocked out of bounds by Holy Cross. St. Francis gets the throw in. Miguel Duran into Anthony Script. Script forced down from behind by Alex Yanez. Nothing called. But it is out of bounds to the Fighting Saints. Stephen Campbell pushes it in. Headed off to the side, Anthony Script down the sideline. We'll let that ball just trickle out of bounds. That's last touched by Holy Cross. So Script will toss it in. This is Martinez. Martinez turns and is stopped by Leon Gopal. Espinoza taps it off to his left. Rolling it to the outside, it's Raul Roman. Here's Script. Script taps it towards Mohamed Rashid and knocked away by the defense. Mason Messina continues the attack. Ahead to Rashid. Rashid is stopped by Lewis Tomlinson. Tomlinson decided to play the aggressor from the goalkeeper's position there, and he was able to scoop that ball up just before Mohamed Rashid could get to it. We're down to 6.5 minutes remaining in the game. Petangelo heads the kick from Tomlinson right back to St. Francis's offense. Here's Martinez working his way around one defender, but knocked out of bounds by Souza. St. Francis gets the throw, and despite the objections from Holy Cross's bench that it was last touched by the team in white, Omar Gallo not too pleased about what's been going on with the officials tonight. Calvin Nlovu is coming in for Anthony Script. And Nlovu got a short rest, and now here in the second overtime, they'll bring a little extra speed in on offense now that he's rested up. Here's Mohamed Rashid down in the corner. Rashid sends it to the middle, off the foot of Martinez. Couldn't get a good kick in on it. Stephen Campbell up high into the air, and no teammates present, so it's headed back the other direction. This is Espinoza. To Messina. Back to Christian Petangelo. Petangelo will go all the way back to Carlos Ferrer Cotto, and Cotto will reverse the field position in a hurry with that big kick. Off the foot of Rashid. To the outside. Here's a run from Raul Roman. Roman deflected away by Souza. Roman gets it right back. Down in the corner, it's Callum Beaver knocking it out of bounds. Throw in for St. Francis. 5 minutes to go. Raul Roman will take his time on this one. And I'll toss it in right in front of him to Martinez. Martinez along the back line tries to cross it. It's intercepted by Harry Francis, and Francis sends it the other way. Castillo off of Souza and out of bounds. And St. Francis will get to reverse field once again with a throw-in. Roman to Martinez, who's trying to block out Golubevs, and he does get around Golubevs, but Francis steps up, and he's tripped. And this is going to be a yellow card given to Jose Martinez. So the second yellow card given out to a St. Francis player today. The clock stops at 4 minutes and 22 seconds. And a substitution made by Holy Cross. David Villegas back in there. He's played the majority of the game, and he's in now for Bruno Souza. Free kick is taken by the goalie, Louis Tomlinson. This is Villegas turning and firing a shot from about 40 yards out, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto will let that ball roll harmlessly out the back line for a goal kick. Running out of time here. The Saints certainly want to win, but a tie wouldn't be the worst thing. A loss would be bad for them in their quest to get one of the top 4 spots in the conference standings, with 1 game remaining against St. Ambrose on Saturday. Want to make sure they're hosting next weekend when the conference tournament begins. There's Bannister knocking it out of bounds for Holy Cross. Saints get a throw in. Joshua Yemen back in for the Fighting Saints, and Jose Martinez back out. So they've got their starting strikers in there now. Yemen and Nlovu with just over 3 minutes left to try to make one final push to get this big goal that they need. Alex Yanez passes off to his right and Villegas. Now on the far side, it's Beaver. Beaver sends one into the box. Yanez falls to the ground, and it's headed out of bounds by Miguel Duran. Aaron Bannister traipses down into the corner. Well, he'll be the man to throw this ball in. Gets his running head start, now tosses it towards the front post. Headed up in the air, right in front of the net, and Carlos Ferrer-Cotto is able to grab that ball, but it's knocked out of his hands by Holy Cross. And a penalty call, a foul called against Holy Cross, and now a yellow card as well given to Michael Lynch. Lynch got in the way of Carlos Ferrer-Cotto after the ball had initially been knocked out of his hands. The goalie's pretty much untouchable in there. Once he gets his hands on the ball, that's his ball. It was knocked away from him by a Holy Cross forward, but once he got his hands on the ball, that play was dead. So the ball does go into the back of the net, but it will not go as a goal for Holy Cross, and we remain tied 0-0 with 2:29 on the clock. Second overtime. If either team scores, the game ends right there. And if neither team can score over the final 2:29, the final will be a tie. A good cheer from the crowd as Omar Gallo has been given a yellow card. The head coach of the Holy Cross Saints. He has been screaming at Nick Rexepi and the officiating crew all night. Not real happy with the way this game has been officiated, but now in the final minutes of overtime, he is given a yellow card and still expressing his distaste with the way things have gone. Here's the goal kick from Carlos Ferrer-Cotto. Headed by Yemen, back to Mohamed Rashid. Rashid tries to send it through for Nlovu, but Tomlinson gets there first, and Nlovu runs him over. There's the whistle. The ball was still alive for a moment, but Tomlinson is down on the ground, and like I said a moment ago, the goalie is pretty much untouchable on these plays. That was a hard collision. It didn't look like there was any ill intent from Kelvin Nlovu. He was on a dead sprint trying to track that ball down. Tomlinson tried to get there first, and Nlovu just plowed him over. The goalie always has the right of way in that situation, but two men just going in opposite directions, racing for that ball. Tomlinson got the worst of the collision, and he's still down on the ground. We've seen several Holy Cross players go down injured in this game, but none of them seriously. Nobody's had to leave the game permanently. A couple of guys have had to leave early, but then come back in. So despite a lot of tracks made by the medical staff tonight, nothing serious done, and Tomlinson's going to be able to stay in this game as well. Shaken up by the collision there. 2:14, so only 15 seconds went off the clock since the last collision down on the other end. The yellow card given to Nlovu. We've seen more cautions given out in the second overtime than we did in the first 100 minutes of this game combined. In fact, we've seen 3 of them in the last 15 seconds of game action. There's the kick from Tomlinson, getting it back in play. Christian Batangelo knocks it back defensively. Here comes Raul Roman. Roman looking for Nlovu. Callum Beaver jumped in front and knocked that ball out of bounds. The Saints get to throw it in here. Roman working his way towards the middle of the field and tapped back to Messina. Messina over to Stephen Campbell on the right side. Campbell's pass knocked up into the air by Michael Lynch. It's loose near the sideline and headed away to Campbell, but the whistle blows and a foul is called against St. Francis. Only 90 seconds remaining in the game. Leon Gopal sets it up. That one skims past everybody's head and rolls out of bounds. I don't think anyone touched it, so it should be a St. Francis throw-in with 1:07 on the clock. We'll see if they can work their way down the field quickly here and get on the board in the final minute of the second overtime. Along the sideline and out of bounds. Holy Cross will get to throw it in, and now they may get the last chance of the game here to find the back of the net. They're not in any hurry. They're playing for a tie. St. Francis has been a little bit more frenetic trying to get this victory. Holy Cross seems a lot more content just to walk out of here with 1 point, not in any sort of fast-paced mode as they work it back towards midfield. Bannister knocks it out of bounds. 35 seconds left. Stephen Campbell quickly back into Mohamed Rashid. And now Campbell boots it up in the air downfield. Over the head of Yemen, knocked towards the sideline. And out of bounds by Holy Cross. 20 seconds left. Here's Duran working quickly. Duran looking around, now finds Yemen. Yemen turns it towards the net. Yemen worked away from the ball by Lynch, down to 10 seconds. There's a long-range shot that will go out of bounds from Raul Roman, and that should wrap this thing up. We are going to get out of here with a 0-0 tie. Good, hard-fought match. Very evenly played by these two teams. A tough physical game, especially after halftime. And in the end, nobody is able to get on the scoreboard. So the Fighting Saints are shut out for the 3rd time in the last 4 games and the 4th time in the last 6 games. They did score 4 in their last game against Robert Morris, but the defense once again held strong today and strong enough to get out of here with a 0-0 tie. They'll take it. 1 point. We'll give them 19 for the season in conference play. Their record goes to 8-6-2. They are now 6-3-1 in conference, and Holy Cross goes to 5-7-3. They are 1-5-3 in conference. Our final totals today, no goals of course, but St. Francis was outshot by Holy Cross 19-14. St. Francis 6 shots on goal, Holy Cross 5. No shots on goal in that second overtime. A lot of pushing and shoving. There were 4 yellow cards given out in the second overtime period. So a lot going on, but no real chances at scoring in the second overtime period. Neither team came close. In the end, 17 fouls called against Holy Cross, 9 against St. Francis, and 5 yellow cards were given Holy Cross, 3 against St. Francis. Again, half of those came in double overtime, just that 1 10-minute period. For St. Francis today, Calvin Nlovu led the way with 4 shots, 6 shots for Leon Gopal of Holy Cross. But of course, for both teams, none of those shots went in. So again, our final today, 0-0, and that's going to do it for the home season for St. Francis. There's still a fine chance, especially if they win at St. Ambrose on Saturday, that they will be hosting a conference tournament matchup on November 4th, but that is all still to be determined right now. Of course, you can always get your updates on St. Francis soccer at GoFightingSaints.com. So make sure you head over there, check out what happens on Saturday against St. Ambrose, GoFightingSaints.com, and you can get all of the information that you need about the upcoming conference tournament as well. That's going to do it for today's game. St. Francis Holy Cross tie, 0-0, second tie of the season for the Fighting Saints, and the first since their first game more than 2 months ago. So they nearly bookend the season with ties. This is not the last game, but the second to last game. So still one more. We'll see how it goes on Saturday at St. Ambrose. That does it for today. 0-0, tie score. Until next time, this is Terry Bonadonna signing off for the University of St. Francis. Good night, all.